Hey, we're live with the Matt and Paul show. Good morning, everybody. I'm waking up over here in San Diego. It's the evening in Spain where Paul is at. What's up, Paul?
I'm good, buddy. Yourself?
Oh, good. How was your day today?
All right. Yeah. Well, it's pissing down with rain, so I'm not really doing much, just working away. I'm literally
Okay.
just. I'm gonna pick my daughter up from nursery, and I was watching a bit of Joe Rogan talking about the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp stuff, and I just laughed my head off. But yeah, I should be speaking like this because that's how Joe Rogan speaks. So if he does it, I should be talking like this because it's cool.
Yeah, it sounds better when the mic is close, but it sounds fine away too.
Yeah. So I was watching that. It's quite amusing. Like this cat, I don't really watch Joe Rogan much because I just get absorbed into it. I watch hours and hours on end. So I purposely stay away from like Netflix and things like that because I've got an addictive personality, and if I get into something like golf, I spend all my time watching stuff. So yeah, it takes me away from my work. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't even watch TV, man. I do watch YouTube though, and Rogan. That's the one thing, and then a couple comedy shows, but I don't even watch Netflix or TV shows anymore. Or no news for sure.
Well, yeah, like I said, my addictive person, I stay away. So I remember when I was ill, probably back in last year. I am not badly ill, guys. Don't worry, I'm not gonna die. I just like probably had like basic COVID or something. I started watching Narcos Mexico, and then after a day or so, I wasn't ill, but then I think I have to finish it. So I've got this, like, I stay up late, don't get proper sleep, eat crap, drink wine, so I can watch it. So yeah, I just stay away from that crap.
Yeah. So yeah, we were going to go over some CBD news. I was reading this report earlier that was saying that, basically over last year and this year, or 2020 and 2021, CBD sales have basically flatlined for the most part. So a lot of that I think has to do with the lack of regulations. Like if there's so many massive Fortune 500 companies that are just waiting to get into CBD, but they're waiting for the FDA to give guidelines on it, which gives good opportunity for smaller brands to establish an actual brand right now before Walmart has CBD on their shelves, like with a Walmart brand, or Costco has their Kirkland CBD, which I'm sure they'll do eventually. But yeah, so that's the thing though. Right now, it's just flatlined. Even Charlotte's Web, the number one brand in the industry, their sales are basically flatlined over the last couple of years. Not
So
not that they're doing bad.
I think part of that report you mentioned to me earlier was about the gummies are obviously increasing in most places. Do you not think maybe the CBDs are slowed down because of the Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, all this other stuff that's out there, basically swamping the market, confusing the market? I'm not against all that stuff, guys, but the way I'm built is that them kind of deltas will eventually be like kicked out of the market. My personal opinion doesn't mean it's going to happen. So I always think you build a solid brand on something that can survive. I liken it to the old school like pre-workout market. When that first came on the scene, that stuff had an ephedrine in it, like pharmaceutical amphetamines, right? And then it was 1,3-dimethyline, then it was this next thing, and now it's just caffeine and beta-alanine because they've got all the stuff that these companies try to pump into these products were obviously too damaging to human bodies, so therefore they all got banned. So I always liken it to that. I think CBD is going to be around forever as an ingredient, and it's always going to be a massive market. And I think it's still super young. I think it's just like any market where there's a plant that people can strip down and turn into all sorts of different cannabinoids and Delta 8s and Delta 9s and this, that, and the other. I think with that, you're going to get this like crazy period of time where CBD sales go down. So yeah, I think in the long term, it'll come back together. I think once all the dodgy brands and the dodgy sellers and the basically drug dealers online are, stop selling shite.
Yeah, that's a big issue too. Is that, like, I saw a report from Leaf Report that they did a study on CBD or CBN sleep products, and 60% were mislabeled, and so they're saying they have like 500 milligrams of CBN when in reality there's like 150 or whatever it might be, and so that's a huge problem for our industry. And we need to police ourselves better, like as an industry. Like, let's do that before the FDA starts coming up with stupid ass rules. Like, we're making ourselves look bad by cutting corners. And you can't trust your manufacturer, people, just because they give you a COA Like my best friend Chris said he wipes his ass with COAs. Like it doesn't mean anything. Like you got to get it tested when you get products. Even if they give you a recent COA, test it yourself, because you never know, and there could be mistakes in the lab or whatever. And so mislabeling of products is a big issue in the industry that we have to correct and try to police ourselves, but also the labs need to figure out how to get more on the same page. And I'm not a scientist or a chemist, so I don't know how they do that. But like if I take a sample to 10 different labs right now, I'm going to get 10 different answers, on the milligrams.
Yeah, there needs to be. I cut my teeth in the sports supplement industry, and in the sports supplement industry, it was the same. It was like OK Corral when back in late 95, 96, when proteins really started taking off and pre-workouts and stuff. It was like people just selling random couch crap to people. Do you know what I mean? And it got worse and worse. And the only way it gets regulated is when some. So what happened in the UK? I can give you an example. What happened in the UK was that this company that did testing for basically like WADA, so basically did testing, the drug testing for the athletes. Yeah. They create their own thing called Informed Sport. So therefore, every brand who want to be on that register, they sent the products off, they got tested, and the ingredient profiles got properly checked. Everything got checked. Now, not only was that now for tested athletes to protect them, it's now used as a standard to make sure that the supplements are great, if that makes sense. So it's like, so not only is it good for a professional athlete, now these products are good for the everyday user. And I think at some point there's going to need to be some governing body or a body that's created or a foundation, wherever it is in this space, that is like the pinnacle of where your products get tested. So all these COAs can be created, like so they can be bastardized and they can be faked and it can be PDF and all this shit. They need one governing body, or group or whoever it is, just take control and go, right, we are going to be the gold standard of everything. So if you want to be, because there's always little, what's that hemp? What's that crappy one? Yeah, bullshit.
Hemp authority.
Hemp authority. Yeah, that's just all bullshit bollocks, right? Making money. But they need a proper authority out there that does the testing. So every year you sign up to a program as a brand, it costs you probably $3,000, $5,000, and then every batch you send over, they test it and they give you their gold standard. And that's what the industry probably needs. It might have that already, but it's not been promoted enough. Because the industry is so freaking young. This is what frustrates me is about when people go, "Oh, CBD's fucking dead." It's not dead. It's just that you haven't made a few bucks from it because you haven't created a brand and you're just trying to sell shit to people. It's so young still. More people.
Yeah, the industry is actually 10 years old this year. It's only 10 years old. Like
most people don't know what CBD is. I spend people I chat to, they go, "What's that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's like it comes to the cannabis plant." Oh, it's drugs. It's like no. So it's such a young industry, and it's got so much growth in it. But what kills it a lot and what gives it a bad rep is people selling shit to people. But that's always going to happen in every market. No different to Amazon, no different to sports supplements, no different to anything that people consume or put on their body or wear. Clothes are no different. The crap you get from China, from Alibaba, AliExpress, fake Nikes, fake watches. There's always people in markets that are trying to make a few quid from people's being gullible and buying stuff through marketing.
Yeah, and I was reading in that one report, the CBD industry is in 2021 was $12.8 billion, which was below back in 2016 or 2017. They were saying by now it would be 21 billion.
Yeah, that's 26 billion, yeah.
Was it 26? Yeah. So we're off. We're halfway there. We're off by half. And so part of that reason, I think, is because of the shady characters in the industry cutting corners. And then, I would say at least 90% of CBD brands don't have a brand. They're just selling products. And that hurts us too. Like when you don't have a brand with a personality that stands for something that actually has an image to it, and you're just slinging products, that's not good. That's not good for the industry.
Yeah, well, I think what comes down to it, Matt, is that what we always forget is as a brand. Well, we don't forget as a brand. What people most forget is who our brands and businesses. That it's all about the customer. So if the customer or the audience has a mistrust with CBD because they've been, it's like a bit like car dealerships and stuff, like secondhand car dealerships. Most people will go, "Oh, they're all dodgy. They turn back the clocks. They tell you it's got a full service history, but it's all been fudged, right?" So people naturally, I still have today a negative connotation towards secondhand car dealerships. I'm thinking, what are they trying to sell me, the dodgy bastards? And it's so the market, the audience with the CBD market, I'm like, am I going to get stun game with some product that's a load of shit? It doesn't work for me. So people that do buy it have now got this negative connotation. So how do you win as a brand? You literally debunk all the bullshit for people and tell them the fucking truth, right?
Yeah.
And you say to them, the reason you've been seen off before is because someone has sold you a load of shit, and I can prove to you why my products are actually quality. And I'm happy for you to come down to my establishment, check out our manufacturing, or whatever it may be, whatever your unique position is that trust factor. And that's why people use doctors and stuff like that, because people trust a fucking doctor. I don't trust doctors, but it's like, yeah, but people do, right?
It's funny. This lady who's like a mother to me. She's a retired OBGYN, and she says hospitals are where people go to die.
Yeah.
And so she's a fucking doctor. And so, I don't trust doctors at all, except for some holistic doctors I do, but not allopathic.
Yes. So that's what it is. So you guys as brands, if you want to win, you got to get super transparent and really open and get really connected with the target audience. If you're just trying to hide a brand, trying to hide behind a logo, being a premium CBD brand, that's fucking, people don't give a shit. Honestly,
show some personality. Like there's very few brands in the CBD world have any personality. They're just selling products. And one way to grab that personality is, once you know who your audience is, you can go after influencers or people of influence, like we rather call them. And imagine if you knew exactly who your audience was, then you could target the right people of influence that work with that audience. And then you would have a brand personality, not only through your brand and yourself, but through the people of influence that you're working with. You could utilize them as your personality. But if you don't know who your audience is and you're just selling CBD to everybody, then how could you know who to reach out to help sell the products? It just doesn't work. Like, unless you have a lot of money and a massive budget like CBDMD or Medterra or something like that, then you could afford to be general. If you're, a brand with millions of dollars and you're spending $500,000 a month or $1 million a month on marketing. But if you don't have that kind of budget, the best thing you can do is find an audience and solve their problems. And, in my opinion.
Yeah. There's two parts that I want to say. So I always say in our consult calls, I do it all the time, this group and my group, it's that no one gives a shit when you shout about yourself. If you keep if a person kept going around saying I'm brilliant, you think he's an egotistical prick, right? And there's no different to, or she. So it's no different to a brand. You need thousands of people saying how great you are, not you saying how great you are. When 1,000 people say you're great, that's called creating hype, right? Therefore, people are going to start buying your stuff. And second thing to talking about that, proof of that, last night we had a consult call, one of our cool clients, and basically through consulting, I'm not going to say what we did with them, but basically they've increased their sales by 60%. They're around about 30 grand a month, just under. And the last 2 months, they've got done 50 grand plus back to back. What they do differently? They just start engaging with their audience.
Yeah.
They start engaging with their customers.
Making noise.
And I can't say too much how I did that, but that's all they did. They just made way more noise. Didn't cost them much in marketing. Just made way well.
It didn't cost them anything. It was just doing some things that they weren't doing, and that's why sometimes it's good people to have a second set of eyes and ears on your brand. Like, you're in the weeds, like literally and figuratively. Like, if you're in the weeds so much, you're missing certain things, and you have so many things you're juggling as an entrepreneur. Like, when I had my brand, I was working 13 hours a day and trying to juggle all these things, and you just, I'll get to my email marketing later because I'm doing all these other things. And it's just like, you got to know where to focus. And that's what sets apart successful brands from brands that aren't. Like Paul always says, they focus on the shit that works and they don't focus on the shit that doesn't work. It's that simple.
Yeah, and that came across last night again, Matt, wasn't it? We were going through the Google Analytics, and I'm sat there looking at Google Analytics, and Google Analytics is telling them the 3 traffic sources that really work for them. Guess where they were focused?
On the one that
doesn't work.
It's the one that didn't work.
Spending all the money, all the effort, and all the time on the shit that doesn't work. And generally, the shit that doesn't work is social media. Some of you will make sense of social media, but anyway, can't say too much because obviously that's private information. But focus on the shit that works. Know your data. This is the biggest thing that I pretty much tell all brands now is know your fucking data and what your data tells you. And then that data tells you these sources are working, double down on those sources. You're going to make more money.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie. Like, and me and Paul both are not big data guys, but we know how important it is at the same time too. So like you got to force yourself, even if you're not a natural person that loves looking at spreadsheets and data and all that, you got to force yourself to love that, because that's where the truth lies in the numbers. Like the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, I've got a degree in aeronautical engineering because I was a helicopter senior mechanic or engineer, if you want to call it that, in the military. And I fucking hated data because I was just like, how do I fix helicopter? And I still hate data. However, when it comes to scaling brands, I love data now, because the data that tells me what's working and what's not working, then it tells me or helps me tell brands or businesses we consult with or we help grow and scale what they need to focus on.
Yeah, so if you're watching this and you don't have Google Analytics set up properly, set that up and YouTube it. I'm sure there's videos that show you exactly how to set up Google Analytics with your website, because that's going to show you exactly where all your traffic is coming from. Even though Shopify has great back-end analytics, but it's not as powerful as Google. So
yeah, because Google Analytics will be able to tell you exactly what website, if it's, let's say, organic search traffic, right, is your leading. So like Google is your leading traffic generator. It'll tell you what sites are actually direct the traffic to you if you've got backlinks and stuff. So it's really important to know what's working, because then you can kind of work out, okay, if these sites, these pages are driving traffic back to my site, and these pages are more targeted towards the 25 to 35-year-old bracket, but I think I'm a 45 to 6-year-old brand, you may have an issue with your brand. Or you may have an issue with who you think you're targeting. If it's appealing to one market, but you actually think you're targeting another market, then you're wasting money in different marketing areas because you're not targeting the right people. Look, a brand can change. When we help create brands, we always say that you need a target market, but brand's got to be fluid, because as it grows and it scales, your target market may change. Because it might appeal to different people. That's just, but you've got to be fluid with that and not be like stuck in the ground and like cemented to this principal idea. Your principles and your ethos is absolutely, but you've got to move with the market. If you don't pivot and swivel and zig and zag, and you just try and do the same shit over and over again, and it doesn't work, you're going to end up shutting down your business and be pissed off for business and go, the entrepreneurial shit's crap, I'm going to get a job again and make someone else rich. So you've got to be able to move, and you've got to look at the data. You've got to look at the data and stop. The general data for most people is that social media doesn't drive much traffic if your brand is the only people shouting about it. Social media can drive traffic if you've got thousands of people shouting about your brand. So if you got social media managers managing your brand, expect zero ROI from that. That's I always say to everybody. Expect ROI, because all they're doing is taking your laziness to create content on your social media and making your brand look cool.
Yeah, the thing that's going to get you traffic through social is using these people of influence. That's what's going to bring traffic to your site, not just posting posts on Instagram. That's for brand recognition. And it's good. You need to do all that stuff too, but don't think just because I'm going to be posting on Instagram all day long and Pinterest and TikTok, that's good for brand recognition, but that doesn't always translate to sales. If you have other people posting on their social for you, that translates more to traffic, in my opinion.
Yeah, guys, remember what we're saying? We're saying generalizing for the masses of you guys that watch these videos, right? There will be a few of you that crush it on social media. Very few, very small percent, like 1-2%. But that's because you've got a specific way your brand. Look, that's why individuals do well on social media, because social media is about engaging with people. People don't engage with a brand that's trying to sell shit. Do you mean that's why TikTok works from like influence point of view? Because it's people.
And that's why you should put yourself in front of your brand if at all possible, or have some personality as the face of the brand. Look at Elon Musk. Everybody knows he owns Tesla, and Zuckerberg owns Facebook, and they're the face of those brands, and that gives them credibility and trust or distrust, depending on the person and how they look at those guys. But I would rather be the face of my brand and have half the people hate me, like, oh, fuck that guy, I hate that guy, and have the other half love me and really support me and what I'm about, than just have nothing, no personality. I'm just slinging products. What does that do? So it's much better to put yourself out there and stand for something. Like wrap your brand around a cause. Like what kind of cause can you give back to that's going to get people behind you? Like Paul said one time, and I laughed at him. He said, you got to read books on how to build a cult. And I started laughing. He's like, no, I'm serious. That's what a brand is. If you can learn how to build a cult, then that's what you're doing with a brand. You're building a tribe or a cult.
Yeah. So you think about it. So your loyalty reward program, you usually build it and you leave it and you think, oh, I've made some money from that. Great.
Yeah.
If you've got a cultish behavior inside your brands, your loyalty reward program starts putting 30-40% more revenue a year in your business. One of my buddies, I consulted him a couple of years ago, and he was doing about 2.5 million a year. He put 1.2 million on his business in 1 year from no new customers. Well, new customers, but the generation of the leads was from his customer base already, from his loyalty reward program, because they were like cultish, but they loved his brand so much. He was like, okay, we love it so much. How about I help you make money from it or get free product? They're like, fuck yeah, let's go. Do you know what I mean? They made more money because of cultish behavior. That's going to lead me on to something then, what you're saying there, Matt, about so yeah, that goes in the same thing as, like, I put a post in Matt's group, CBD Business Success, about, do you want your brand to be acquired, and be bought from under you? Look, in the future, me and Matt will potentially have an opportunity for you to sell your brands, right? So I'll leave it at that. But in the meantime, before that, you've got to ask yourself this question. If you really want yourself to be acquired, ask yourself, why would someone buy it? You think about it. If you're doing like 5-10 grand a month, right? Let's say you're doing 100 grand a year and you're not paying yourself a wage, right? And your customer list is not massive. How is that appealing to anybody? Because someone buys that brand, they have to swap you out potentially, right? If that's what they want to do. So therefore, they've got to swap you out, put someone in that's got all your skill set, all your knowledge, all the things you're great at. And then if you're doing 100 grand a year in sales, what are you making in profit? Let's say you're 40% profitable. You made 40K. Your body wages more than 40K, right? So your brand, if you want to sell it, you've got to grow it. You've got to put systems in place. You've got to put teams in place. You've got to get to a position where it can sell. So ultimately, your brand is kind of worthless if you're not doing probably a couple $100 grand a year and you've got systems in place and you've got your profits made down. Because I know most people I basically think they're making a certain amount of profit, but they discount so hard, they make hardly any profit. So
yeah. And the good thing with this opportunity we're going to have is you don't necessarily have to be at a couple 100,000 a year in sales. We have different solutions that we're going to provide you. So like, if you're like, man, I'm stuck at 5-10,000 a month and I'm burned out and I just want to sell my brand, we will be able to help you most likely. So we'll be talking about that in the groups pretty soon. And it's a great opportunity because this will bring you instant profits without having to put out any money. And so, yeah, we'll give you more details soon as we solidify it all.
Yeah, guys, I want to give you a little insight to what, again, I can't really tell you too much. We do our consulting clients, but I can tell you what's working and what will work for you guys. And I tell it across all my groups as well. Spend the next 7 days getting 10 testimonial videos. Spend the next 14 days trying to bring on a couple of influencers, people of influence, ambassadors, people that align with your brand that can shout about you online. Just focus on them 2 areas, right? Yeah. And you will start to generate over time way more sales. Because when people come to your site, they don't trust your site, and you've suddenly got 10 testimonial videos on the site, through email, on social media, that's real people saying they've got real results from your products. Trust levels go up. When trust levels go up, conversion goes up.
Yeah, and you can use those testimonials on the Instagram reels, and then you can repost those. Like if you post that on an Instagram reel, maybe 5-10% of your audience actually sees that. So you can repost that the next week and a couple weeks down the road later. And so, if you have 10 of them, that's good. You can rotate those and then get 10 more and then just keep rotating all these testimonials. And like Paul said in the beginning, it's so much more powerful when other people say how great you are versus you saying how great you are. And I met with a brand a couple of days ago, and like at the top of the fold on their page, they were just talking about how great they were. And I was like, nobody cares, man. Like you got to talk to your audience directly and what's in it for me? That's what I'm thinking when I hit a website. I want to know, how is this going to help me in my life? Like, I don't care how great you are. Like, okay, after you address my, like, that you're there for me, then maybe I care about how great you are and how great your products are. But until I know that you understand me and what I want, I don't care about that. You know what I mean? As a consumer.
Yeah, and that's why we said get in front if you can. And you're that kind of brand, you get in front of the camera, and because then people will connect with you. So
Yeah.
they won't forget, they won't forget about their problems, but they'll then engage. They'll be connected with you, and then do stuff because you've influenced them because they trust you and they like your story, etc., and they'll buy your products. No different to anything, right? How we consume TV, when we watch on YouTube, people of influence, YouTubers, which are influencers, basically, they make videos, you watch them, and they say, I wear these trainers, like no difference on Nike Jordans, right? Nike make a pair of trainers.
There's so much opportunity out there, people. Like, I just read the other day, do you know who the Cash Me Outside girl is, Paul?
No.
It was this girl on Dr. Phil years ago, and she had an attitude. She was a little white girl, real hood, ghetto, and she was like, "Catch me outside." She was trying to tell the audience, "Catch me outside, let's fight." And she blew up. She went viral off of this, and she made $50 million last year off of what's that website? OnlyFans. So
Oh wow.
if this girl can capitalize off of a TV show and make $50 million in 1 year, there's so much opportunity out there, people.
Dude, the person who pulls the most money in ad revenue from YouTube is that Asian kid that shows off toys.
Oh yeah, and he's like,
You know what I
8
mean?
years old, right?
Yeah. I can't remember what it is. It just makes absolute millions. It's not much, but guys, it's like you've got to create an environment where people give a shit about your business. I say it all the time, and people go, "Stop fucking swearing, Paul." It's like you've got to give people a reason to give a fuck and give a shit about your business. If there's no reason, and even your family members are not buying your products, and influencers or people you reach out to are like, I don't want to, you say, "Oh, I'll send you some gift of products," and you can shout about it, and you go, "I never shouted about my product." No one does, because it's probably dreadful. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. You've got to take a hard look at yourself. In business, you've got to drop your fucking ego.
Yeah.
Right? You've got to drop your ego, and you've got to look at yourself and go, look, some people can have shit-looking products and they sell really well because the person behind them, right, is pretty cool. So people look past the dog shit label in the dog shit website because they're engaged with the person. So they trust that person, and that product could come in a fucking paper bag. They wouldn't care. But if you're not giving a reason for people to care, and being premium and being seed to soil to seed or wherever it may be, that's not being a difference. Being different is like, what it is. What brands out there you engage with and you really like? Not big brands, but what are these smaller brands that come out of nowhere that make you choose to move away from your favorite shampoo, your favorite razor, or whatever it may be? The Dollar Shave Club video. Go and watch that. The original video for Dollar Shave Club and the Dollar Beard Club as well. They were cool videos because they took people away from spending $8, $9, $10, $15, $20 on razors to buy one razor for $1 a month. Yeah. Because they did it in a humorous way that took the piss out of the big brands. And people love an underdog. And people love people riffing into the bigger brands. That's why I had a reason. So you've got to do the same. It's like I've probably seen over the last 2 years over 2,000 brands across our social platforms that we reach out to and people will contact us. 95% of dog shit and trash. And the reason being is because you're too focused on trying to sell something and make money, as opposed to finding, as Matt said, a group of people that really need help and then go and help them. When you lead with that, you make shit ton more money.
And aesthetically, you have, like Paul says, you got to look like $1 million, even if you're not a million, even if you don't have millions of dollars. You got to look like it. Yeah, like act as if, like, look at brands like Seed or Feels, Jupiter. Those brands have beautiful packaging, websites. All the aesthetics are just dialed in. You got to be able to compete with brands like that. And, the only way to do that is to work with somebody like Paul or an expert, unless you have amazing design skills. Like, you get what you pay for with that kind of stuff. Like even one of my clients, he just did a product photo shoot, cost him $20,000 and it looks amazing. It looks incredible. You get what you pay for. And so you just got to do your best with whatever budget you have. And because I've seen even our website, if you go to wearelucid.com, LUCYD, I think it cost us $2,000 to build that site, and it looks badass. It's because we found the right people. Like, we're resourceful. You got to be resourceful.
Yeah, guys, look. When I left the military in 2011, and I found I didn't mean to start a brand. I started trying to make supplements myself, and that turned into me. My mates going, "I can get some for me," and I was like, "Well, I might as well create a brand out of this." I was like, "I have no fucking design skills. I can't do anything. I'm trying to pay designers to do stuff, and they're doing my head in." I taught myself the whole Adobe suite, and I am honestly, even though I've got a degree, I am as thick as a whale omelette. I am terrible at technical stuff. I like to shortcut everything. I'm a sports guy type thing. I just taught myself how to do Photoshop, how to do Illustrator, how to do email marketing. I taught myself all the stuff. I learned. Did I pay for courses? Did I bollocks? I learned off Google. And I may have paid a few on Udemy that were like $7, $20, but everything was off Google and YouTube. I just taught myself. I literally have two screens, one on the one I'm trying to do, and someone going, "This is how you create a circle in Illustrator." So it's like, step by step. I taught myself the shit, so I didn't have to deal with people that couldn't do what I want to do. And then I started to study the people that are doing well. I spent a shit ton of time learning stuff. I spent like 8 hours a day on Twitter engaging with people and to grow my brand. Right. Yep. This all stuff works. If you haven't got a budget to literally get into people's front rooms and in their face, right, you're not going to do a small budget. So learn all the shit that allows you to look $1 million and get in front of people and engage with them and create that cult following.
Those are the people that succeed, the ones that take consistent action and aren't afraid to fail or look stupid or whatever. You just got to keep taking action, keep trying new things, learning new things. And like Paul said, it's all out there for free if you just Google and go on YouTube and Udemy, and there are consultants like us that you could work with if you want to go to the next level. But in the initial stages, you can find all this stuff for free out there. You just got to have the diligence and the effort to put in. And like when I launched my brand, I was literally working 7 days a week, 12 to 13 hours a day in the beginning part until I got the systems in place, started hiring some people and getting some help. But like, you got to do whatever it takes in the beginning. Like, even when I launched one of the dispensaries that I launched in the beginning, I was doing the deliveries, I was cleaning the toilets, I was bud tending, whatever. Like, you got to have that kind of attitude, whatever it takes when you do a startup like this. And so, it's just all out there for you to take. Like, we have no excuse in this society. All the information is there for us to take. All you need is a laptop, and the playing field is leveled. You can even get a Harvard education for free online now if you wanted to. And so there's no excuse.
Guys, and that's why we're doing these podcasts, because I want it to be real and raw and just tell you, if you fucking buckle down and do the work, you're going to be successful. If you know you're half fucking arsing it, you're not going to be successful. That's in reality of life, right? And we could tell you, there's so many things we could tell you to go and do, but you're not going to fucking do them. You've got to make yourself accountable. And generally, by buying a course or seeing a consultant, whoever it may be, or it makes you accountable. Like, this is why people don't generally like free shit, because they don't put any value on it. It's just free. I don't give a fuck, right?
Yeah.
But that's why free courses and stuff, like, you can go and get it all free online, right? So you can go learn it all. But are you going to sit there and do the shit that you need to do to move your business forward?
Yeah, less than 5% of people will actually value that free stuff. Like, because it can be valuable. You got to find that information and then implement it. And one book that I would recommend that really was life-changing for me in the last couple of years is Atomic Habits by James Clear, I think is his name. It's just a really powerful book about focusing on habits that are successful and just not worrying about goals as much and writing all your goals down. Just focus on your habits and you will achieve your goals if you're working on the right habits. And so, it's powerful book.
If you look at most of the successful people out there, they tell you to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, that bloody bollocks. You work when you're most efficient.
Yeah.
You work whether it's 5 o'clock or late at night. But I'll tell you one thing that is good. People that drag you down, and they don't mean to do it, people that are holding you back, they're the fire on your not the fire, they're the water on your fire. They're the people I've noticed that over like the last 10 years. Anyone that's not in line with where you want to go, they're not purposely holding you back generally. It's because they're not in the same direction as you are. And they're gonna stop you doing shit. And I tell you what actually stops you doing shit as well. It's having fucking mortgages and having cars on fucking hire purchase or rental stuff that you can't afford. You know, and relying on a job to pay for that shit. That holds you back as well. I don't want it to turn to a motivational shit, but them kind of debts hold you back because you've got to pay those bills, right? And generally your job does that. So you've got to get yourself to a position where you've got less stress and less people fucking trying to get you go drinking, go on like pointless fucking weekends away that are not going to benefit your business going forward. You have to sacrifice to move forward in business. Like if you want to be a great sportsman, you have to sacrifice. Most of the best sportsmen in the world sacrifice their childhood to be trained and developed into this sportsman they are today. Right.
Yeah.
That's
like
why
one of
Mike
the
was off the rails. Most he was like Michael Jackson was, you know, they were just so focused on their sport. When they got to the mid-20s and then suddenly getting all this women's attention, it's like, oh shit, what do I do with all this and all this money I've got? And it goes to pot, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah, one of the most successful entrepreneurs I know, he said you got to give up vacations for 5 years in the beginning when you launch everything as an entrepreneur. You just got to buckle down. But if you give up those vacations for 5 years, then after those 5 years is up, if you grind and you do the right things, then you can have that true freedom and become a capitalist and use other people's money at that point because you've proven yourself. And that's what real rich people do. They use other people's money to make money. Yeah. And so that's the key, but you got to prove yourself first and you got to grind and do the work.
Yeah. I know someone that said similar, man. They're like, I go on vacation, but I'm working. So go on vacation with the family. They gets the hotel, sets up his whole like 2-3 screen like station, and the family go and play with a pool. And he might pop down for an hour, 2 hours, at, you know, lunchtime and stuff. But you know, you've got to work. It goes down to that. You've got to work. Because if you're working, you take an action, you're failing, you're learning, you're going again. You take an action, you're learning, you're going again. The stuff you need to learn, you go and learn. Do you know what I mean? It's just it's you've got to have this whole thing around. If you've got kids, you've got family, I understand that, but you have to make some sacrifice around. You and your partner have to agree on what you want to do. You know,
and you don't want to be the smartest one in the room either. Never be the smartest person in the room. Like surround yourself with people that are challenge you and that are smarter and more successful than you, because you're going to learn from them. Like I just joined a passive real estate academy and it's mostly all surgeons and doctors in there. And I'm being challenged. These people are amazingly intelligent and they're forcing me to level up and learn this passive real estate investing. And it's uncomfortable for me, but it's making me grow, and it's uncomfortable in a good way. And so, yeah, you got to keep challenging yourself, and networking is so important. Like the reason why I'm at where I'm at today is through networking, like period. Like it's all about who knows you, not who you know, it's who knows you. And so the only way for people to recognize you is for you to put yourself out there and get out there and get in the room with intelligent people that are doing amazing things, and go to trade shows, speak at trade shows, just put yourself out there in this industry. Don't just try to sell products, because it's just not going to work. It could work, but for the most part, it probably won't work if you just are focused on selling products. If you come to this industry and you want to provide value to the industry, that's more respectable, in my opinion. Like, instead of just here to make money and sell products. Like, this industry is new. Like I said, it's only 10 years old. We got a long way to go, people. But yeah, exactly. Anything else?
I'm just trying to see if there's any questions in the group, so I can't find where this has gone live. So I don't know. I don't know where it is.
It's like in all the groups, but I don't know where it's like streaming from. But it should be in all the.
Yeah. So let's see if there's any questions.
But yeah,
guys, if there is any questions, I can see there's a couple people commented right at the start, but I don't know if anyone's watching still or not. I can't see the details.
Yeah, but we'll be back in a couple weeks, people. So if you're watching this, come up with any questions and fire away. We'll be back in a couple weeks. Oh well.
Sorry, man, it was you. Sorry.
I was it's a little delay.
Yeah, it was me to try my cat was there. Yeah, we're back in a couple weeks.
But yeah, we'll be back in a couple weeks, and we'll be doing this pretty often, people. And it's just me and Paul shooting the shit about our thoughts. And we don't really plan these things out. It's just for fun and just trying to give you a little bit of encouragement and value. And as things change in the industry, we'll always jump on here and keep you up to date with anything that we learn.
Yeah. So guys, takeaways. If you want to take away from this, go and get video testimonials. Full stop. Go and see if you can build an influencer program. People of influence, definitely influencers, and gummies are exploding right now. So if they fit your brand, potentially think about introducing some gummies. They're very popular right now.
And think about do you ask yourself, who is my audience? Who am I helping? And if it's everybody, then you don't have an audience. It has to be targeted. And so ask yourself that. And if you don't have an audience, figure that out, or contact me and maybe we could work together on that, because that's one thing me and Paul do a lot, is help people dial all these things in.
Yeah, that's a failure point for all brands, is not knowing who they're targeting, because then nothing else works, because no marketing works if you don't know who you're targeting. And if any agencies you've ever hired an agency and you don't know who you're targeting and they've taken your money, then they are arseholes. That's my word for it anyway.
So cool. We'll see you all in a couple weeks, and yeah, this is a good one. All right, Paul. See you soon.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Okay.